So, quick little add-on, or I'll add it on, or maybe I'll start with this. Hi, I'm Jen. This is my channel. Jen watches stuff because I watch stuff and then I talk about it. So, I did my review last week of Severance up through episode 7, which is truly, and everywhere I look, people are talking about this. One of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen on television in my life, as far as how the story was told, how the story was filmed by the cinematographer, Jessica Lee Gagne. It's freaking amazing. And didn't post that video like I thought maybe I would actually post it that day, but done nothing all week in that area. And last night watched episode 8. So these episodes technically drop on Friday, but I think they apparently show up like 8 o'clock or something on Apple TV for me on the West Coast, and maybe the East Coast too, I don't know. And another great episode, obviously completely different than last week's, and this would be one of those episodes where if somebody started trying to watch this show with last night's episode, they would be like, what in the hell is this show? And I think would enjoy it very, very little. But it gives us a lot of insight into one of the main characters on the show, and I won't even say who. Very interesting, very well acted. I don't know if I mentioned Patricia Arquette last time. She's fantastic. And I can't again recommend the show enough. That's it. I just wanted to say that. And today, damn it, I'm gonna post this. I'm going to edit this video, and I'm gonna post this video. And now here's last week's Jen talking about Severance up through last week. Maybe this will be the video that I actually post, because I haven't posted anything in ages, but maybe, we'll see. But I was thinking about the fact that I have I love my job, and I think that I'm I do a decent job at my job, and I have the best friend group ever, and I love my kid with all my heart, love being a mom. And yet, I definitely wouldn't consider myself level expert at my job. I'm not a level expert friend, and I'm definitely not a level expert mom. But I'll tell you what I am level expert at, and that's watching TV. Not talking about TV, because if you see, not making videos about TV, because I'm completely unprofessional. But watching TV, because I've been doing it for well over 50 years. So when I say that Severance is a show so unlike any other show that I've ever seen, you should take into account the fact that few people have watched as many hours of television as I have, in a span of 50 years. Unless it's people who actually literally, their job is to get paid to watch TV and talk about it, which would be my dream job, really. But this show is so let me start by saying we came in very late to this show. And I'm really glad we came in late to this show, because the first season of this show aired in 22, I believe, and on Apple TV. And I was like, this seems like a show that I would like to watch. But, as you know, if you watch anything that I watch, I like Hallmark stuff, and I like light and fluffy stuff, my cozy mysteries and things like that. And I'm just never found the time where I wanted to to get into it. Even though I love Adam Scott, and I don't even know necessarily why, because I haven't watched Parks and Rec, which is ridiculous. And, but anytime I like that guy. And Ben Stiller, who is one of the executive producers and a director of a lot of these episodes. But still, hadn't watched it yet. So recently, the kid and I were like, I said to the kid, let's watch this show. And the kid's like, you know what? Yeah, I want to watch Severance. And then obsessed. Like, we literally only started 2 weeks ago. Maybe 3 weeks ago. We had to wait a full week. Let's put it this way. I think it only took us a week and a half to get through season 1 and then get caught up on season 2. Because last night we watched episode 7 of season 2. And we had to wait a whole week, and that felt like an eternity. This show to me is like, it is like you opened up a present and inside you saw something that you thought was the present, but then you opened that up and there was another present. Because on the outside, my first thought when I watched this show was like, I told one of my besties, I don't know if you should watch this show because you're not really into your job right now, and as far as like enjoying your time there. So this show to me was giving me like PTSD about any job I've hated. Which unfortunately, you know, for the last 23 years, I haven't hated my job. But like, there were jobs, I mean, and I haven't had worked at that many different places, but I can think of at least 2 places that I went to where I was like, I hate being here. Like, this is literally like I'm in prison and I'm just living for lunch and for it to be 5 o'clock so I can go home. So it on the outset, it's kind of like that. It gives you kind of that. And then as you go on, it's like this could be an allegory for anything that might involve any sort of indoctrination, for lack of a better word to use. So it could be whether it is, you know, being indoctrinated into some sort of corporation or corporate mindset or religion or politics or anything, okay? And that's a lot. Like, that's a lot. And I think different people will take different things from this. Like, I'm listening to the Watch podcast right now, and they're saying some stuff. They're talking about episode, this is before last night's episode dropped, but talking about some things thematically that hadn't necessarily occurred to me, that I hadn't really been looking at it through that lens. So I think that this show will be different for different people. I will say that this show can be really hard to watch. And let me just say, God, it's already 6 minutes and I wanted to just, okay. The premise of the show, when I try to explain the premise of the show, I feel like I sound crazy, but the premise is that there is a procedure you can get called severance. This is not going to be a spoiler because we're going to learn this right away, where they literally go into your brain and they do something to your brain so that when you go to work at this place, Lumen, you get into an elevator. And when you get into this elevator, as soon as you get in this elevator and it goes ding, you only know your work self, the person you are at work. Okay? That's it. Like, you are at your job and you know the people that you work with and stuff, but you don't know anything about what is happening in your outside life. And we learn fairly quickly that the reason that our protagonist has decided to do this is because he's lost his wife recently, and he's basically trying to be like not sad for 8 hours a day, right? Which is very like heavy, but relatable, right? Like the idea that you could like turn off part of your brain for any given time to like take away certain things that are super painful is an interesting concept, right? So, but the problem is we have no idea what anybody does at this place. Like, you'll see quickly, it doesn't make any sense what they're, I mean, I'll let you watch it to find out, but that's the basic premise. So there's that sci-fi element, but as we go on, there's also like, it winds up being like a mystery, like a puzzle that they're trying to solve kind of as the thing. Okay, so I'm going to stop trying to tell you what it's about. And I think the thing is that as heavy as some things and concepts can be and how cringy some things can be, the acting in this thing is top notch, number one. Number two, because like not only do we have Adam Scott, but we have Patricia Arquette. We have Zach Cherry, who I love and think of as the guy from like the Spider-Man movies, or like the guy in Shang-Chi who was like filming the fight scene on the bus. He's hilarious, and there are moments in this that are just completely laugh out loud funny because and John Turturro is in it, and the actress Britt Lauer, who plays Helly, I don't think I'd ever seen her in anything before, but the combo of those people, and then I don't think in the first episode we meet him, but I think he might be in the credits. So I'm just going to go ahead and say there's Christopher Walken in this. And the Christopher Walken in this is chef's kiss. Probably my favorite Walken that I've ever seen. So it's very entertaining and it's very compelling. And as soon as you're done with an episode, you want the next episode. And it's really, we have found it to be supremely addicted, like maybe the most addictive show that I have watched in a very long time. So, if you haven't seen it, and any of this sounds interesting, and I feel like there was something else I was going to tell you guys, and then I was going to, but, oh, yeah, so the whole reason that I decided to do this today was last night's episode. Well, it's really supposed to have dropped today, but it was already on Apple TV last night at like 8 o'clock when we went to go watch it. It was directed by their cinematographer, we found out because we were watching the after show. And that is completely evident because the way that this episode is shot is different than any episode that we've seen so far. The episode just in its nature is different than anything we've seen so far because it's for filling in some gaps for backstory, for things that we didn't know about that have to do with Mark and his late wife. So it is such a good episode. It is so sad. It is so hard to watch, but it is like, if it doesn't get nominated for Best Direction, then there's something wrong at the Emmys for sure. It's really phenomenal. It is, as my kid said, it's like the Martin Scorsese meme, masterful cinema or something like that. And my kid was like, this should get an Oscar. I go, you mean an Emmy? No, an Oscar. This should have an Oscar. It's really, really special hour of television, and I feel so lucky that we're watching this show. And on the one hand, I don't want it to end. Like, we're going to have 3 more episodes this season, I think. But I also don't see how they can carry this on to a 3rd season. Because I think, like, I cannot imagine how they could carry this on to a 3rd season. Like, I feel like they need to wrap this up. And, like, the whole thing they need to wrap up in the next 3 episodes. But that's how... who knows? Who knows? Because the season 1 really does leave you on a cliffhanger. Ends with a cliffhanger, and I would have lost my mind if I had been watching this in real time, because literally people had to wait like 2 years for the next season to drop. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking because it's already 12 minutes and I got stuff to do. But please tell me if you would like to watch this show, if you have watched the show, what you think. And I also wanted to mention that there's a lot of people who do analysis on this show, which is not anything that I'm ever going to do because, you know, I leave that to people who are like a lot smarter and have a lot more time. But like New Rock Stars, who we go to for like our Marvel breakdowns and stuff, they've been doing episode breakdowns. And then there's another guy who we really like, and my kid turned me on to him, and I'll have to look up his name and I'll put it here. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching if you watched. And again, maybe I'll post this, and then maybe I'll post something again soon. because I have lots of stuff that I filmed. Okay, thanks. Bye.